Hey, what's up? It's Dell here. I wanted to show you how to personalize your ChatGPT to get more out of ChatGPT, or at least to get it to be more like you want it to be versus kind of like straight out of the box. And this is prompted by the three AI classes that I taught over the last couple of weeks, about 130 people. And what I found is that people overwhelmingly tend to use ChatGPT versus other tools, but very rarely have they actually ever went into the settings and modified the settings. And so I'll probably do a couple different videos on this for you. So let me pop that sucker up for you. This is like your basic, Chat GBT. Those of you that work on it have seen it before, but it kind of shows you the sidebar. We've all seen the sidebar, blah, 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 chats and whatever. But to personalize it, you simply go to the bottom right here where you see my name and personal account, and then you pop it up. And so on this, you're going to go to, you can get it to different ways, but from the settings side, you hop into settings, and it's going to show you a few things: general notifications, personalization, apps and connectors, which I will do a video on, schedules, blah, 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 blah. So we're going to go to personalization. So you just simply click into here, and this is where you really can begin to shape it so that it responds and is structured more like you would want to have it for your own personal use. So very simple. Enable customization is exactly what you say. If you turn that off, it shuts down all of these. And then you're just basic straight out of the box stuff. If you turn it on, it gives it back to you. Now, some of these things are relatively recent, like over the last couple months. So one is the personality that you can provide to ChatGPT, which is, I'm a little bit straightforward. So I have robot. But if you want to do something different, you can just click on the button. And for example, you have default, cheerful and adaptive, cynic, critical and sarcastic. My robot is efficient and blunt, listener, thoughtful and supportive, and nerd is exploratory and enthusiastic. So basically, the style that you would like to have, you can kind of generally shape it so that it's going to produce that as a general rule, unless you prompt it to do differently. So the big one is custom instructions, which sometimes work, sometimes don't. But if you kind of look at mine, I said no M dashes ever in any of the writing. Unfortunately, it does not listen to that. And so the responses, what I put is the responses should be extensive and thorough without flowery words or hyperbole. Be practical above all, get right to the point. And then I put again, be practical above all. So that's intended to kind of shape the general output across all chats that it does, unless, of course, you're having a different type of prompt that you want it to do it. But some of the things that you can actually add in here are these particular words. So like chatty, witty, straight shooting, etc. Encouraging, traditional, forward thinking, whatever. Like I can click pragmatic, and then it's kind of basically looking to make it pragmatic. Um, about you, you can add the nickname so that sometimes it'll use your nickname. I found out that it actually does know mine, so I don't have to put that in there. If you want to structure it your occupation, it'll try to tailor it to that, more about you, your values, etc. I don't know. I don't have a lot of utility for see a lot of utility in these because I may use it for more things than what I do for a living. But you may want to have it very tailored towards your workflow, business, or whatever. The memory is the biggest change. And I told this to people in class the other day. Like ChatGPT and these other Gen AIs have done a lot of the tweaks that they've done that have been very powerful and very performance enhancing aren't things that people would naturally say, like a big new tool or whatever. But the memory function is probably the best thing ChatGPT has ever done. Because if you remember, back in the day when it first started, it would actually forget if you were working on a longer conversation what it was talking about at the beginning. Now you can actually structure and manage your memory. So if I wanted to manage it, I would just click in, and you would see a list of memories, for example, of all of my saved memories. And I could scroll down and I could begin to delete them out. I could delete them all. But these are things that I said flag this for the memory so that it has it for permanent reference until I delete it. You can use reference saved memories, which means that it will actually go back when it's thinking. And if there's a memory that makes sense for a new chat, it'll recall that memory for you. It can reference your chat history, so it can go through your chats and it can bring back from old chats something that you talked about in a new chat. This has its pluses and minuses because sometimes you will find that you're talking about something completely different, and it'll try to pull something from an old chat that's not really related to it. I found that happen a couple of times. And then you can reference your recorded history. And so all the recorded transcripts and notes when responding. So what it really does is it now creates an opportunity for it to be a really useful personal assistant, because instead of starting each chat new, it can now kind of remember who you are, remember what you're working on, what you've worked on in the past, and bring that forward. And I would say 80% of the time it's useful. So you can do advanced, and it allows you ChatGPT to automatically search the web. And so this was a concern before where you were talking about hallucinations and others. Now it can search the web on its own behalf to kind of reference back into the chat, which somewhat mitigates some of the hallucination challenges. Then it has code canvas and other things. And then the last thing that I'll point out for personalization is advanced voice or non-advanced. I personally don't like advanced voice. I like the old version because it's more like an educational format, long form. Advanced voice kind of tends to cut you off or have short examples. But play with it. It's a lot like Siri, a lot like Alexa for those of you who use those tools. Then once you have it all set up, you just hit save, and now you're essentially personalized. So what I found is that most people just hop right into ChatGPT, and of course you're going to get what you get from it, but you can actually personalize it. Structure the memory how you want it, structure some of the other outputs how you want it, so that ultimately that it is a better tool for you. So the way you customize it may be different, so that you can get more out of it. So if you worked on your settings, the personalization settings, let me know. I'm interested to see how many of you have done that. If you have other questions, as always, feel free to hit me up. But with that, Dr. Dell is out.